Hey nerds! This is Nerd Talk with Silver and Ray, your home for fandoms, and I'm Silver.
And I'm Ray.
Hi Ray, how's it going today?
It's going good.
All right, well, this is our introductory video, and so we're just going to talk a little bit about ourselves and a little about the fandoms that are our favorites and stuff like that. Just go into a little bit about why that is and so on and so forth. So let's just see how it goes, okay?
Sounds great.
All right. So what are some of your favorite fandoms, Ray?
It's hard to say five, um, but like I narrowed it down to five because there's so many. Of course, Star Wars, number one. Look, I am the Mandalorian today.
Woohoo!
Um, Number two would have to be, I want to say like superheroes. Superman, of course, he was my number one even before anything else. There was always Superman. Spider-Man came later on, but superheroes in general,
Mhm.
those are my two favorites. Um, I am a Whovian. I do love Doctor Who. I watched some of the old Who with the Fourth Doctor when I was younger on PBS.
Wow.
I know, right? And then I also love um, like 90s cartoons. Of course, Hey Arnold is my absolute favorite. I watch that one at least once a year. And then otherwise, I love to read a lot of sci-fi again because my Doctor Who upbringing, um, and then some romance and just comic books in general.
Sure.
Um, Trying to read the new Superman one now for the new movie they made. Um, One, I guess, to correlate with what the new movie is going to be about. I've gotten about 70% through that one.
Okay.
I was traveling last month, so I didn't read as much as I normally do. But yeah, I mean, those are my top five. If since I have to pick five in my head, fandoms
I
that I
mean, you
love.
didn't have to pick five. You could have listed them all off if you
I
wanted
mean, we'd be here
to.
for like days if I went. That's why I was like, let me just pick five because there's a lot.
Sure. All right. Well, my five, Harry Potter's number one, and the way I think about it is anything where I want to keep in the world or stay in the world or create something of my own in the world is a top fandom for me. So Harry Potter is up there. I read a lot of fan fiction. I write fan fiction. I always wonder how things could have gone differently in that story, because sometimes you get a little iffy with characters, but so yeah, Harry Potter, Superman is definitely up there. I don't read a lot of comics like you, but I grew up on Superman, so why wouldn't I love him? And yeah, I just like his ideals about truth, justice, and the American way. I love just in general. I love movies. Anything with a good story, though. So movies, video games, books. But particularly Buffy is in there. I did write fan fiction for Buffy, and I have read fan fiction for Buffy. Just and then Pokemon and video games like that. So and of course Avatar: The Last Airbender is in there as well. I've read one fan fiction a little bit about Avatar, but I haven't dived deep into that fan fiction world just yet. But what I wanted to do also is, since this is our introductory episode, is define what I think nerd means. And so, just it's someone who is extremely enthusiastic and knowledgeable about a particular subject. And then fandom, in my opinion, is just a group or community of fans of a specific genre or
The best
lore.
people.
Right. Right. There can be a fandom for books. There can be a fandom for a specific book. There could be a fandom for, a specific character. Like, you're watching Avatar and you're like, I love Iroh the best because he's the best,
Yes.
You can say you're an Avatar fandom and you're a Iroh fandom, So it
Mhm.
could just be something that is a favorite and makes you feel good and something that makes you want to explore more about that lore and stuff like that. So that's what I think defines fandom. You have any of your own definitions on it?
No, I agree. Fandom is also in my sense, it's also community. I do a lot of conventions
Mm-hmm.
and I do a lot of like all-purpose conventions. So it's not like just one fandom. So you see like all the different communities interacting and you know some shows that have nothing to do with each other, and you'll see like the friend groups, they're all cosplaying from different shows and movies,
Sure.
and it gives you that sense of community where all these different types of shows and subjects can all just meld together.
Hmm.
So that's what fandom means to me. It's just a sense of community. It brings friends together, and it's a good time.
Yeah. Well, and one thing too that was interesting to me is when I watched the reunion for Harry Potter, and they were
Mhm,
talking about it's a place where people who feel other, people who feel like they don't belong,
mhm,
can find a place to belong. So definitely community in that way.
mhm.
So yeah, we can dive more into specific fandoms here, just a little bit, just an overview of each. We can do some that we have in common. Like, I like Doctor Who. I haven't seen the whole of it, because it just gets too sad for me. I'm like, I can't be crying here with this show all the time.
I
But I
know.
do like time travel.
Yes.
That is something that is super interesting to me. So most of the fandoms I love involve time travel.
Yes.
But yeah, definitely Doctor Who's one like that. And Superman, in the Christopher Reeve movie, he reverses time. Even
Oh,
though that I don't know how that works, but
I know. He spins the earth around so fast in the opposite
I think
direction.
everyone would just die. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But
That's
yeah.
funny.
One topic too that I wanted to bring up that we probably will have a video about later is nostalgia. So just 90s stuff,
Mm.
90s and 80s and early 2000s, I guess. Cause
I'm decade impaired. I'm still stuck in the 90s.
right, I
It was
love
such a
everything
good
90s.
decade.
So good. And I think everybody feels that way about when they were like in high school or middle school.
Mhm.
They're like that was the best
It was.
time. But I think 90s is really special besides that.
Hmm. Agreed.
um but yeah, I have a lot of nostalgia when I think about things. So when I do games or when I rewatch stuff. Like I will rewatch stuff constantly. Like I wrote down the entire script of Twister, So I'm in the Twister fandom.
Yes. I did
um,
that for the speech and Independence Day.
yeah. I mean, just what you did in the 90s.
Hmm.
We didn't have a bunch of internet to be
Yeah,
on,
we had notepads and we wrote
right.
stuff down.
Yeah, you just kept writing stuff and kept rewatching and stuff till you knew it by heart.
Hmm.
And that was just a fun time for us. But yeah, that includes like Disney movies from back then, late 80s, 90s movies. Were the best Disney cartoons for sure.
The
Even though
golden age
people
of
will be
Disney.
like,
Yep.
now is
Hmm.
the best cartoons. I'm like,
No,
no.
not at all.
Pokemon came out in the 90s. Buffy came out in the 90s. Uh,
Hey Arnold, Rugrats.
yes, all the Nickelodeon
Yeah,
stuff with
that was my thing, was the Nickelodeon stuff.
I love the Rugrats so
Hmm.
much. All this stuff. But I didn't like Cat Dog, but I watched it anyway because I was like, you have to. It's on Nickelodeon. You
It
have to
was
watch
unhinged, but in a good way.
it. Real Monsters. Now
That was a good one.
yes, I love that show so much.
And Doug.
Yes, Doug. The
Can't forget
killer
Doug. Killer
tofu with the
Tofu.
beads. I love it. I was
Yes.
just talking to my Portuguese teacher about it the other week. I was like, she's like, yeah, Doug. And I was like, the beach though? And she couldn't bring it up. And I was like, well,
Oh,
you weren't in it enough.
weird.
Killer
Good
tofu.
tofu. Yeah.
But yeah, and then there's movies. There's so many movies. What are some of your favorite?
Jurassic Park.
Yes.
Of course. Those are
You're back in the 90s.
Jurassic Park. I don't know, Mummy kind of started at the end of the 90s in
Hmm.
99, but that's such an iconic 90s movie too. Mummy was probably my number one favorite, even more than Jurassic Park.
Okay.
I so many things like as I rewatch those movies,
Hmm.
um, just like the year the movie came out, or like the not the year the movie came out, but like the year referenced in the movie always cracks me up. In the second movie, they named their child Alex. I'm like all these things.
Sure.
I'm like, oh no, did I self-consciously do
Did I
that?
just copy
I'm
this?
like, when I rewatched it and I realized that the little boy's name was Alex, I was like, I'm
Hmm.
like, is that where I got it from?
Is this what happened? Yeah, there's a lot of those things where you forget that you were so involved in it that later you did something or you named somebody after something. You're like,
Yeah. I last year I met Patricia, who plays, I believe her name is Patricia Anaxunamun.
mm.
And we've all 90s kids are so mad at her because of what she does in the second movie. And I told her that,
Spoiler alert.
spoiler alert,
You
if you
haven't
haven't
seen it by
seen
now.
this movie. And I told her, I was like, I told her straight up, I was like, I'm still so mad at you. And she starts laughing because like it's not an uncommon thing. People tell her this often.
Sure.
And she's like, don't be mad with her cute accent. Oh my God. And then later on, as she was leaving the convention, I had walked Dean Cain out because that's a whole nother Superman thing.
Yes, your buddies.
Yes, because Superman's my first love. So I had walked Dean Cain out. So I was coming back from like the green room area, and she was walking out. And she had all these like all her pictures and everything. And so I held the door open for her, just of course to be polite.
Mhm.
And then she says, "Still mad at me?" And I was like, "No, I'll never be mad at you again now."
I love you.
Because in real life, she was the sweetest thing. And she was like, "It's just TV. It's just a role we play." And I was like, "I know you did a very good job." And us 90s kids still hold on to
Right.
that. But yeah, Mummy for sure is my top favorite. All of them. I like the third one. I know a lot of people get mad because they changed Evie. But Brandon Fraser, I always say his name wrong. Brendan, he was immaculate in that movie. I know Evie's missing, but he held it up. Like he is worth it just to watch him in that movie.
Sure.
Um, and then all the Jurassic Park ones, it doesn't matter. The new ones that are coming out, Jonathan Bailey. Oh, anyway,
Are they out already?
I think they might be out, but the new ones that are coming out
Mm.
have Jonathan Bailey, and he's to be loved by everyone. I know
Okay, I don't know who that
he's
is.
not for the girl. Oh
So.
my God, I I can't. He's a modern fandom. He's a modern fandom.
Okay.
But yeah, those movies are great. Superhero movies in the 90s were not the best.
Right.
Um, so you had to deal. We had more shows
Sure.
that
And
were
more
superhero,
TV over
yeah,
movie.
that were better. Um, the 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 DC stuff that came out, I guess like, gosh, now it's probably been almost 10 years ago.
Hmm.
Those were all really good shows. They had the original Flash in there too. I think his name is Jonathan or John Wesley Ship, if I'm not mistaken. He's the one we met. We met him in New Jersey. That he came up running up behind us when I had my Lego Superman costume on,
Uh-huh.
and he asked to take a picture of me, and I was like, "Your teeth are really white," because I'm the
Your
most awkward
teeth are
person you'll
really
meet.
white. Is that what you said?
I did. His teeth are so white, and we met him again like about 6 months ago, and I was like, "Your teeth are so white. I cannot get over
Still.
it. I cannot get over it." And he just laughed.
That's funny.
But yeah, he was in it, and that was another really good series. The first like few seasons, and then Barry Allen had to go and mess everything up. Dang it, The Flash. Um, but yeah, I do like those shows too. Of course, Marvel movies are the
Sure.
best now. Um,
Yeah,
and I've liked pretty much all of those, but that's more now.
sure. I mean, your favorite movie is your favorite movie. If they're coming out with something now, that's good. Means they're still doing something right. For me, my favorite movie is Little Shop of Horrors.
A great one.
That's from the 80s, so we've gone back another decade. It tells you how stuck in nostalgia I am. Anything new, I'm like, until I see it, and then I'm like, I loved it. But yes, Little Shop of Horrors. I would say second is Lean on Me. Morgan Freeman always gives a killer performance, and that's just a great movie. Um, Twister, I think, is number three, and then I would probably go into Disney movies. I really like Aladdin. Like Aladdin and Lion King are in the same level for me. Which when they made musicals and I saw those in person, I was like, this is amazing.
Which one have you seen more, Lion King or Aladdin? I know you've seen
Lion King
both a
for
lot.
sure, because Aladdin is newer and it's just not, it doesn't come around as often,
Mhm.
because I can't go up to New York every time I need to see
I know.
Aladdin.
That's the last time I think we saw it was in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it hasn't been back down here, but Lion King has. That was just in the last season.
Hmm.
So yeah, I've seen Lion King a lot, and it's worth it every single time. So those two Disney movies, especially. And for a fifth one, let's see. I wouldn't say a specific one, but I like the nine back to the 90s, like the 90s kid movies that were about girls. So like Matilda, A Little Princess, Secret Garden.
Oh yes, all good
Those
books.
three are just high up in my list of amazing. Of just maybe because I grew up on them and I just loved them.
I think Secret Garden and oh,
Pippi Longstocking too
oh,
was
that's a good
one of
one.
them.
Secret Garden and Little Princess. I think those were like produced by the same studio, I think.
Yeah, I think the same author is it?
Yeah, they had the same vibe and they were both immaculate. So
Yeah,
you
so
can watch those
good.
anytime.
I love them both so much. I still watch them to this day because I
Hmm.
love them so much. All right. And what about books?
Oh, we don't have enough
You
time.
don't have any favorites?
Okay. So don't laugh at me, but a current favorite is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston.
Okay.
Pretty much anything they write, I've read all of Casey's books. They are all phenomenal. One actually has like kind of like time travel in it.
Okay.
Um, the girl kind of gets stuck in time. It's such a good, all her books, all well their books are so good. But definitely Red, White, and Royal Blue. I just everything about that book is so me because I'm such a nerd for all things British family. Like I have always been
Okay.
since the Diana times.
Yeah, well, when Diana was gone, I was
Hmm.
like,
Yeah,
these
and then
people.
the president's a female in the book, and
Okay, cool.
in the movie it's what's her name? Oh my God, I'm
I don't
drawing
know.
a
What's her
blank.
name?
Pause.
Is she
While I
famous?
remember. Oh, she's super famous, and of course, my brain. It's just I cannot remember.
Yes,
Uma Thurman.
Uma Thurman.
Uma
Really?
Thurman. How could I have forgotten
Uma
Uma
Thurman?
Thurman? Yeah, she plays the mom. She
Okay.
plays the president. It's phenomenal. The whole movie. The movie's hilarious. The cast's all gorgeous. Like every single one, from the guys to the girls to everyone's gorgeous.
Sure.
Um, the all of Casey's writing style is very different. Like in each book, it's in a different place.
Hmm.
But I guess that's like for romance. And then I read a lot of sci-fi as well. The last sci-fi book I just finished like a few weeks ago.
Hmm.
It's called The Stars Too Fondly, um, and it also kind of has a little like a little bit of time travel in it. It's more like they're stuck in subspace, so
Yeah.
time stopped for them.
Okay.
But like all those type of books. Of course, my OG favorite book was Alice in Wonderland. It's one of the first ones that I like really obsessed over.
Sure.
Um, when I was younger and I read Shakespeare a lot, and I know it's basic and cliche, but I love Romeo and Juliet. I read that one.
Did you hear there's a new movie out?
I know, but I'm like you with that. I have to see it first. For now, I'm gonna be all like, eh, and then I'll see it and it's probably amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, those were the books that I really got into. Otherwise, reading when I was really little was just comic books. So all Superman comics that I could afford to buy on my own, like if I use my allowance, or ones that I would buy or rent from the library, borrow from the library.
Yeah.
Comic books, comic books. I can't even remember how many I've read. So favorites, would be almost every Superman comic I read as a kid. I loved. I couldn't
Okay.
put it down. Alice in Wonderland for sure. Romeo
They
and
have
Juliet for
comics?
sure. Huh?
Alice has comics?
No, but I meant in general,
Oh,
like
okay.
that book. And then, uh, like I said, more currently is Red, White, and Royal Blue. I read it like 6 times in 2023.
Six times,
I,
huh? No problem.
I
You
said,
like
don't,
what you like.
I said, don't judge
I'm
me.
not judging.
It's just a good comfort book. It's like if I could live in that world, that's where I'd want to be, in that world where Uma Thurman's president.
I haven't read many comics. Not really comic. It's just getting around looking at pictures. I don't do well with it. I just read what they say and move on.
You read so fast. Yes, I know that's true. You are a very fast reader.
So I'm like, okay, the end. Now what? Like, but I have read some Buffy ones. They have some omnibuses, and they did season 8 in comics on Buffy, which I read a little bit of because if I'm holding on to something, I'm holding on to it
Yeah.
as long as possible. So if it moves to comics, that's what happens. The same thing happened with Avatar. We had to find out what happened to Zuko's mom. Like, you can't not know. So
Exactly.
went to the
Yeah.
comics. So I read the comics. I literally just read what it said and moved on. I didn't look that hard at the pictures or whatever. I have some Walking Dead one because Walking Dead made me angry. So then I was like, they say the comics is different, so let me see.
Yes.
So I have a little bit of that. And then I bought I used to just go to comic book stores because I feel cool in a comic book store for some reason.
Oh, me
I don't know
too.
why.
I get that
Other people
feeling.
like nerd, but I'm like,
I love it
but
here.
it's cool. So not that I'm good at it or anything, but I was just going there, and then so I bought I feel bad going places and not buying anything, so I bought Paper Girls, which I think got a TV show or something, but I never actually read them. So I do a lot of collecting of things and never reading them or playing them. Like I do that with video games too. Uh, but yeah, so I've read comics, but I'm not a comic aficionado.
Yeah, I don't I'm bad about owning books of any kind, comic included. I'm a big borrow, like a library. I'm a library person. I was raised in the library.
Hmm.
So I'm always like, okay, I'll borrow it and I'll give it back. Because I don't, if I was to have all the books I've read, forget it. No wonder my child's name is named after a library because
Sure.
I would totally have a library. With comic books, it's a little different because you can't, not all libraries have like a large collection of library of comic books to borrow.
I didn't know they had any in there, so.
Um, well, in New York they did.
Mm.
Here I haven't actually, I can't even say that I tested it here in Florida. But we had a comic book store. It closed down now. Was one of the Coliseum of comics. They used to be more than they are now. And you used to be able to not so much borrow, but like let's say you bought 10,
Hmm.
you can return them and get 10 more. Like it was a thing that they had going
Sure.
for a minute. I don't know that they still do that. But it was great because I would read them and then get more. It was, and then you're still giving the comic book store business.
Sure.
And the one I'm thinking about is the comic book store that was in Claremont. They were great. We used to go there. We used to go there for free comic book day. Always dress up. They had a big TARDIS there. I love that location, and it's gone now.
Oh,
I miss it. I know. I think
yeah.
it's like a pizzeria now or something. And I'm like, no, bring
No.
back the comic book
There's enough
store.
pizzerias.
Right, right. Agreed.
Yeah. Well, I do want to bring back movies because we did forget to mention Lord of the Rings,
Ooh,
which
that's a
I
good
do
one.
rewatch often. So don't want to forget that. There will probably be an episode about that just because there's such big lore, it comes from a book, so and I'm sure there's more and more and more information about that all the time. And as for regular books, my favorite books, I haven't read Lord of the Rings yet, but I have like the full 10 book
I was gonna say, I thought I
series
saw them in
of
your bookshelf.
prequels and
Yeah.
all that stuff. Yeah, I have it, but have I read it? No.
I read The Hobbit in high school. I know it was one of my high school books that we had to read.
Yeah, The Hobbit was read to me in middle school,
Mm.
6th grade, by Miss Bell. Hi,
Oh.
Miss Bell. um, but yeah, so I would say for books, anything by Gary Paulson. Uh, this is back to nostalgia because it's all stuff I read when I was younger. Because my mom made me read. I was on
Same.
that rebellious phase where everything she liked to do, I didn't want to do, but she made me do it because that's how Secret Garden was the longest book I ever read at the time. That was in elementary school. It was 311 pages, I remember.
That's a lot for elementary school.
And she was like, "You can't see the movie until you read this book." And I was like, there was times where I skimmed. And I just still do that in books. I'm like, this isn't important. Skim over this. We get the gist of what the story's about, okay?
I always feel bad, so I always go back. I can't.
Yeah, I don't go back. I'm like, whatever. I got what's happening still, so we're good. But yeah, Secret Garden's on there because I've reread it tons of times since then. Later in life, I read the Princess, uh, Little Princess, um, and Matilda I read after the movie, and then I think that got me to want to read books after I see the movie because then you get more information. Because when you watch it beforehand or when you watch it after, you're like, meh. On the movie, you're like, whatever. You didn't
Yeah.
say this and this and this, and you didn't put this and this in there. But if you watch the movie first, yeah, your imagination's tainted because you have a view of what you think the characters look like now. But all to me, this it's always about finding more out about the story, finding out more out about the lore and context about stuff. Just makes me happier. So that happened to me when Harry Potter came out, and I think I was around the perfect age for it. Like, because I think if you were 11 and coming up with them at the same time,
Yeah, you were at their age. That's true.
well, I wasn't at their age, but I think people who were that way, it's not the same
Hmm.
experience as someone who is older. I was,
Hmm.
yeah, they came out in '95, so I could have been 11 when
Yeah.
I read the book, but I didn't learn about it until the movie came out.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't know anything about the books until the movies came out, which the first one came out in 2001. So I went to see the movie, and then I was like, well, the year's over, but I don't want it to be over. So then I found out there were books, and I was like, time to go read
What?
some books.
Yeah.
And so I
I knew about
read.
the books first because the big Barnes and Noble in New York,
Mm-hmm.
they had like it was a huge to do when the second one came out after the success of the first one.
Sure.
So I remember that it was even in the news, and I think it was
Yeah.
like in the newspaper. So it was a
Yeah, I
big
wasn't paying
deal.
attention to news like that uh, around it, but I did see the trailer for the movie
Hmm.
because I kept up with movies because I love movies. And so that came out and it was about magic and kids, which is what I write every story I ever write about myself. Any, original stuff is about a gifted kid, usually with
Hmm.
magic. So that preview came out and I was like, yes.
Yes.
And then I found out there were books and I was like, yes. But I think it was up to like the third book by the time the first movie was out. So I got all the books for the first, second, and third one. And then I was like, movie book, movie book until we were done. And so, and it's easy to do that when you're of age and you don't, I was in school, but I'm like keeping up with Harry Potter because I want to. So yeah, Harry Potter is also in my list of books that I reread often and love. But Ender's Game and Gary Paulson books, and eventually, I hopefully Lord of the Rings. And I'm interested in Lord of the Rings just because it is like the godfather of fantasy, so or the
Yeah.
father of fantasy, whatever you want to call him. But J.R.R. Tolkien.
G token, yes.
But yeah, I have interest in creating a whole world and developing an entire lore around a new world. So that would just be interesting for me. And that's why I love them so much. And that's why I have them. So one day I'll read them and so I can kind of gain interest and inspiration from what he did, which is what everybody's doing.
Yeah. But that's the sign of a good writer.
Yeah.
And like I said, when I started reading Casey's books,
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't written anything in like over a decade. I used to write, I don't know if you remember in high school, I used to write all the time. Not even like just stories, but just in general, like even if it was just poetry, whatever, I used to write all the time.
Sure.
And I hadn't. And then I started reading Casey's books and I was like, okay, I don't know. It just inspired me to write. I don't even share my writing,
Mm-hmm.
but I do it. And it just feels nice for myself. So it's always
Oh
good
yeah.
when an author can do that.
Writing's
Hmm.
great
Hmm.
and it's a place for you to escape to that's your own.
Exactly. Hmm.
Uh, And then before we end this, you got about a minute left here on the timer. I did want to talk about video games a little bit. Do you have any video games that are your favorite?
Oh gosh, I'm so bad with video games. I enjoy watching you play video games.
Thanks.
I enjoy watching you play Fallout. That one was probably the best one in the last decade. You used to play that other one too. He does the parkour in the Caribbean. Oh my God, it's such.
Assassin's Creed.
I want to say it's such a popular game. I should name it.
Yes,
Assassin's
the
Creed
pirate one.
was beautiful, and then you and Mike both. Well, you didn't really as much as Mike did, but Breath of the Wild and
Mm-hmm.
the two new Zelda games.
Mm-hmm.
Those are amazing.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom, yeah. But those were the I guess those are the four
That you
most
know
current.
about.
But I don't play them. I watch you and Michael play. But yes, I think they're visually beautiful. Oh, and Hogwarts,
Hogwarts Legacy.
Hogwarts Legacy. Talk about a beautiful, like visually beautiful
For
game.
sure, it
Yeah.
is lovely.
Hmm.
Yeah, my favorite is Fallout, Fallout 4
Hmm.
specifically, and now they've had a spin-off of Fallout London. And then that's a mod that the fans created, which is amazing. Huge. They're like,
Hmm.
it's probably the same as the base game. I'm like, no, it's huge. It's way bigger than that because I've been playing for hours and hours and hours, and I'm like, I haven't even hinted at the main story. Pokemon, of course, been playing that since its inception on Game Boy. Skies of Arcadia is my absolute favorite game, because I like when you collect people, so you have companions, and I like uh, when you upgrade stuff, so you have your own ship, you collect a crew, you save the world, so it has all the elements that I
Yeah.
like, and it's flying pirate ships. Like,
I've
what's
never
up?
seen you play that one, but there was I think they had a tournament, gosh, probably like forever ago when the game first came out
Yeah.
at AFO, one of the conventions I used to go to,
Mm-hmm.
and it looked pretty fun.
It's so fun.
I mean, the game room in there, the people were cheering and having a great old time. So I'm like, well, this must be a good game. And I remember you mentioning it. So
Yeah, and then Hogwarts Legacy, and of course all the Zeldas. I don't play that much of the Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild because it off the formula. It went off the formula that Zelda was on, and I'm a nostalgia formula person. So I'm
yes.
like, one day I'll probably get into it and be like, "Hey, these are amazing." But right now I'm like, nah, I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play Wind Waker and the Twilight Princess,
That was a good one
and
too.
Ocarina of Time.
Hmm.
I'm gonna play those, which I'm doing on the Twitch channel. But yeah, so I think we're gonna transition here into our next segment, which is about news or anytime we might want to play games or talk about some trivia or maybe do some trivia. Uh, there's this fun idea about uh, like asking questions about lore of a fandom you don't know much about. So for me, it would be Star Wars, and for you, it'd probably be Harry Potter, and be like, "What do you think this is for?" And then I just make something up, which would be way off what it actually is. We won't get into that today, but I thought that would be fun one day.
Yes, I'll have to think of a good item to try to trick you with. Star Wars has a lot of those, so
Yeah. Um, but yeah, just some current news. I know that they're doing the HBO series of Harry Potter.
Mhm.
Uh, from hopefully more closely aligned with the books since they'll have more time with being a show and having episodes. uh and so, but I'll watch it. Will I think it's good or not will depend on how it goes. I thought Avatar was going to be great, The Last Airbender, and it was good, but it wasn't great. It could have been a great. uh but the kids look cool. There's some controversy over some of the characters
The
they've
casting, I
the
know.
casting, like John Lithgow. It's hard for me not to see him as Dumbledore and not see him as a serial killer that he was on Dexter, or like from Third Rock from the Sun, where he's goofy
Yeah,
and an alien. So but he's played a lot of diverse characters, so he can go
yeah,
from crazy serial killer to goofy alien very relatively easy. So I know he has the acting
he does.
chops for it, but just am I gonna be able to not see him as John
Yeah,
Lithgow?
he was in The Crown. Again, I like to follow the royal family, and he was really good. He,
Yeah,
but
I
that
didn't see that.
shows that he has the range. So
Oh yeah,
I think he'll do a great
and
job.
probably he'll do a good accent.
Yeah, oh for sure. Yeah, because he did it. Yeah, on The Crown, his accent was his accent was really good.
Super believable.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I'm sure the kids are gonna be great.
Yeah,
people like to, I think people just like to be upset
Yeah.
with the casting.
And
I'm
people
sure it'll
are
be good.
attached to who has played them
Hmm.
before, for
Yeah, that's
sure. Like it's
understandable.
different from a cartoon to live action or
For sure,
something.
yeah.
If people are beloved, as you know, Emma Watson and Rupert
Yeah.
and Daniel are, it's hard to be able to like, oh, but that's the good thing about it starting from square one, like year one.
Hmm.
Just because it's some more kids to get to know as they grow up, and that's
Yeah.
that's a very rare thing to happen. There's not many movie series or movies where you see the kids grow up from like 11 to
Yeah. Like
grown.
I just hope, like, speaking of 11, I hope what doesn't it doesn't happen to this as what happened to like Stranger Things,
Mm-hmm.
that they've taken so long to produce these seasons. And I know COVID slowed everything down, but
Sure.
like even now it's been like 5 years and they still are like doing one season every 3 years.
Yeah.
And that's hard when you have kids because they grow up so fast.
Sure.
Um, and like that's what I'm worried about. They gotta like pump it out faster.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like even with the Harry Potter movies, towards the end, they were pretty grown looking. Daniel changed completely. Like if you look at like the first movie,
Yeah.
Tom and Daniel, who are like, of course they're like, Tom's not the main character, but he's one of the main characters,
Sure.
and he looks so different
Mm-hmm.
from the first movie to the last one. And I just hope that they are able, production wise, to produce it fast enough so that
Sure.
we can, like you mentioned, that we can watch the kids grow up
Uh-huh.
and in the roles and stuff. So
Yeah, well, that was the good thing about Harry Potter too.
mhm.
They were pretty strict about doing it year by year, so that they were growing up as they were actually growing up.
Yeah.
Maybe like once they did 2 years instead of one, but I think the biggest jump was from year one to year two, because year one, they were babies, and then year two, they're like they got some bass in their voice
I
already.
know. That's what I'm saying. Kids grow so fast. It's hard.
Yeah, and the thing about Tom Felton too, he was older than them, so he was like 13 when they were all 11.
No.
So, and then Emma was youngest, so but for girls they mature faster anyway,
Hmm.
so they look older faster sometimes. But yeah, they were pretty strict when they were doing those movies. They came out every year on the dot so that they could keep up with the aging. And that was the issue with Avatar: The Last Airbender too, where they're like, you can't say it's a summer, or like you can't say it's like 9 months that he does all this, because the
Hmm.
kids grew up.
So
The
much. Hmm.
next season probably won't be out till next year,
Yeah.
and so it's gonna be like 3 years between what happened in the first season and this and that changed the story, and that's fine to change it for
Hmm.
live action, but keep the feel, keep the joy that it had. I think is what's most important, and
Hmm.
keep the lessons that it had. That's also important too, and sometimes that can be hit or miss if people are trying to change things too much. So hopefully they stick close to the books, because it's a good story already. Uh,
Yeah, I'd like to see characters that were
they
left
didn't really
out.
bring up a lot.
Like, or like the one ghost that everyone likes in the book.
The Poltergeist Peeves.
Yeah, and I hope like they add some of those that they left out in the movies and they
Oh
put them
yeah,
in. That
they
would be
definitely need
nice.
Peeves, because in the game Hogwarts Legacy, he's littered throughout that thing, and it's funny just to be able to see him all the time since they omitted him in the movies. But yeah, it would be definitely interesting to see more about the other kids, the other houses, because they Stonewall, Hufflepuff, and Ravenclaw. Ravenclaw for sure. It's like
Hmm.
barely mentioned, until Luna shows up. And but do you really know she's in Ravenclaw? Because she's always wearing Gryffindor stuff because she supports Harry and his team and stuff. And the Ravenclaws are mean to her, so she probably don't like them anyway. So just more time in each of the houses,
Hmm.
and more time to flesh out more of the other characters, especially Neville too. Like, yeah, he had his glow up, but he was a lot more in the books, and they sort of gave more of his stuff to like Hermione or Ron, and it was kind of like four of them. It was kind of like the four of them a lot more than three of them,
Yeah.
because he's a key character. By the end he really is key.
Yeah.
So
Super cute. Yeah.
just more time with him would be great, and just the other Gryffindors, the other characters they don't really mention a lot, like Susan Bones. More time with Amelia Bones would be great. uh, more time with the ministry, like what's going on over there, would be interesting as well. You know, it's a
Mhm.
whole world, and there's lots of areas to flesh out or just put more from the book in. You
Yeah.
know,
Clearly the ministry is popular because look at Epic. Like
yeah,
the wait time's always the longest for the ministry. So,
oh yeah, because it looks so good.
hmm,
It's really spot on over there.
yeah.
And that's in Universal's really good at that. They're really good at making the actual sets and stuff look exactly like replicas, and like you feel like you're there.
And since I'm so out of touch with Harry Potter, a lot of it I experienced first through like the theme park
Yeah.
through Universal, and then when I see the movie or I see something, I'm like, whoa, like I've been there,
Ooh.
I've done that. So yeah, that's really good.
Any news you want to talk about in regards to Star Wars or anything else?
Um, I mean, Star Wars is right now they've done those all their movies, and the fans, Star Wars fans, they love to hate Star Wars. Um, they were so upset with the last three movies.
Mhm.
Um, I love the last three movies. I don't know, maybe I'm just basic after all, but I thought they were great. I think I love Daisy and I loved Adam, so I I love them. Of course, The Mandalorian is the big thing, the last big show. Also, Skeleton Crew is really good. Um, I hope that they do more of those. Endor just finished. I will cry if I go into that one. That show was so good, and the Endor show is the way we seen the movie first, so they did a movie first,
Yeah.
and I mean, a spoiler alert, but literally everyone dies. So you have this show that's two seasons and it goes into such character development,
Mm-hmm.
and you fall so in love with these
And
characters,
they're all gonna die.
but you already know that going into it. Like, we finished the last episode, Michael's like, maybe they didn't really die, maybe we didn't. I'm like, they're dead,
They're
they're dead.
dead.
But it was such a good show. And I know that they're going to be doing the Mandalorian movie. um a lot of the Mandalorian stunt doubles were supposed to be here last year,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of them had to cancel because they were in production already. I know at Celebration they released pictures of Pedro in the suit again.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that we get more. I know it goes against like Jin Jarin's whole, don't take off your helmet thing.
Uh-huh.
But listen, we need more
We
Pedro.
need more
We need
Pedro
we
in
need
this.
more Pedro Pascal.
Pedro
And
Pascal.
I speak for the world because he's beloved everywhere. We need more Pedro Pascal. I know he's in everything right now, but we need him more in
But
Star Wars
that's
too.
not enough. We
We
need
need more.
more.
It's never enough Pedro
Hey, I'm
Pascal.
a fan. I've loved him since Buffy.
Yes, yes, he was on Buffy.
He got to be a vampire, and it's cool.
So yeah, I mean that's just waiting around to see. Right now, it's kind of at a lull because all the shows just finished. Of course, we're not. They're saying we're not getting more accolade. I mean, I can't say I was a huge fan of it, but I didn't think it was as horrible as all that. Um, if if Dave Filoni, in my eyes, can do no wrong. So a
Sure.
lot of these newer shows
Hey,
that he's
Avatar.
producing, I know, right? Avatar. Like, so many people didn't know Dave Filoni was in that. I'm like, yes, he's amazing. If it's amazing, it's probably Dave Filoni.
Right.
And then he did a lot of stuff in Rebels, which I'm gonna be working on a costume for that soon. Actually in production for that costume.
Okay.
So that's my personal news with Star Wars. But yeah, just waiting for that Mandalorian movie to come out, or at least for us to start getting some visuals of it, just to
Sure.
see what happens. Because the last episode of the Mandalorian show felt very the end to me. Like, you watch it, you
Mm.
see that last, you don't even have to know the show. If you just watch that last clip,
Yeah.
you would be like, yeah, that's the end. Like, it
Mm.
it it has all it needed was to say the end because it felt like that. So I would like to see where the story is going to go from here. I'm sure there's tons that they can add to the story, but I can't wait to see what
Sure.
it is.
Sure. And there's always room for more story. You
Mhm.
just ask people who
Mhm.
do novellas and
Oh yeah.
and soap operas.
Hmm.
There's always more room for
Always more stories.
stories. That's why I like fan fiction. You just write about the same world and characters forever.
Hmm.
Sounds good to me. So is that what you're nerding out about right now?
Star Wars. I I'm also kind of nerding out. I hate to even put this out there about Labubus because
La boo
oh my God,
La baba.
Labubus. I actually don't like the Labubus themselves. I like the fake ones, the Lafufus, um, because they produce them so cheaply and they're so unhinged.
Okay.
Um, I ordered what I expected to be some Lafufus off of AliExpress. They were like $7. It was like these are gonna be fake. They turned out to be real. Like, no offense, my little soy milk is adorable, but I was wanting a fake Lafufu. I did manage to buy a Lafufu off a lady by the George Washington Bridge. She was selling them out of a black plastic bag.
Yeah.
She was trying to like put like $20, and she's like, she saw that I was inside of a cuchi frito, so she knew I spoke Spanish. So she's like, 20, and I'm like, yes, yes. So I finally got her down to $10 and I bought it. And the Lafufu is missing a hand.
Oh no.
It's so fake. I love it. But so that's kind of a current fixation. I'm actually working on remaking my La Boo Boo, La Fufu, whatever you want to call
Sure.
it, mascot costume. So just that and the rebel costume that I'm making is my things, my main focus for nerd stuff right now is making those two costumes.
Okay.
And what about you?
While you were talking, I was trying to think of something, and
Oh.
I was I guess I just think about my highest excitement would be like streaming on Twitch. We do have a Twitch channel, and I'll get this one over here to react to some games at some point, and but yeah, just playing stuff, building a community there would be fun. Just to hang out with people because that's what I like to do. I like to be a witness to other people's lives, and I think it would be fun in reverse as well. So I think that is what I'm nerding out about. And just two of the times I stream is gonna be nostalgia. We've
Yes.
talked constantly about that on this because I'm obsessed with nostalgia type things. So why not play games I love and share it with people? So that's what I'm nerding out about.
Who does the Lion King video game count as a game? I played
Yes,
that one a lot.
I played that too.
I just remembered you said nostalgia. I was like, that's right, I did play that Lion King, and I even knew how to get past the hyena level.
Yeah,
A lot of people
some of
didn't
those
know
game
that.
parts was hard.
Yeah, I eventually learned. I did play that one. That's a good one.
Now Sega.
Yeah, back in the day.
Awesome. All right, well, that's going to be the end of our first episode. I think it went
Yay!
really well.
Yes.
Yeah, so in the description below, we have all of our links to our other areas. We're going to do this podcast uploaded about twice a week, probably Mondays and Thursdays around 1 p.m. And then I'm going to have some playlists for some, I'm doing like a consistency experiment and progression experiment. I'm sure Ray here is going to upload some stuff from conventions and things she loves to do with her costumes and creating that stuff. So it's gonna be a full house of nerdy fandom stuff. And so we hope you join us, likes, comment, subscribe, and all that about what your favorite fandoms are. And hey, nerds, thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Ciao.